G'day everyone and welcome to End of the Reel. This week we are doing a movie. Well, we're really doing two movies in one movie. Okay, let's just get to it. I'm your host Jared and with me is my co-host Ethan.
Hi.
This week we watched Robo Vampire, a
Which
1998 film, sorry, and it's
more of a Frankenstein than a vampire as a movie, right? Because it is two movies sewn together.
Frankenstein's creation if we have to get the.
Frankenstein's monster, Jared. You know what I meant,
Yeah,
right?
I did. I
You
did.
did.
You know, I was watching someone talk about that recently, and they're like, "Screw it, just refer to it
Yeah.
as that, and everyone
Okay.
knows what you mean."
You know, he was created by Frankenstein. Frankenstein is his father. I guess his last name is Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
So,
What was that his first name? Back to the movie though.
oh my god. Yeah, back to the movie.
Okay.
Wow.
So
This was a lot of fun.
let-
Robo Vampire was a lot of fun.
I do think that we have to explain why this movie is what it is. It's what the director is he a director? Did he actually direct those two movies?
I have not looked up this movie at all.
I was trying to find out some information, but there's not too much. So it's actually a part. Well, it's one of three movies.
No, it's two movies, yeah? Two movies sewn together.
No. Sorry, there's three movies like this.
What, like Robo Vampire?
Yes, this is
Okay.
number one
Yeah.
out of three.
Oh, so there are more Robo Vampire films?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
And I think let's just call him a director, even though I don't know if he actually did direct any of the films. Maybe he did.
Mm.
He's credited as director on.
So are the
The
other
sides.
Robo Vampire films also cut up
Yes.
versions of other films?
I think they're all by him.
Okay.
I think it's Ho or something.
Godfrey
um,
Ho, isn't that?
I don't know. Anyway, what he's done is he's taken two movies and he's literally cut them up and spliced them into one movie.
They're two movies that have some similar themes. They are both movies about drugs
And it
in
stops-
Asia.
It stops there.
And there's some Western involvement in both movies.
Oh, okay, yeah,
and
true.
I think one bad guy is in both movies. Because there's one bad guy who seemed to be in like a couple of different shots.
Can I say I am actually unsure? I know we kind of all agreed on that we think this one guy who who does he look like again?
From a distance, he kind of looks like the "My Name Is Earl" guy,
No, the other
didn't
guy.
he? With the mustache.
No, not him. He didn't look like him at all. The
Oh.
actor. What's the other actor?
I have no idea who you're talking about now.
Hey.
Matthew McConaughey
That's the one.
with the mustache.
He's Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
We'll refer to him as Matthew McConaughey. We thought Matthew McConaughey was in both of the films, and
Possibly.
we're not totally sure, but we think that was the weak link between the two films.
With that and the drugs and the Westerners.
Yeah,
And the escalating drug wars that these people are having.
but there's really that it is actually two separate films cut into one. Now I'm not sure if he cut entire films or maybe these films weren't finished or there wasn't quite enough backstory. I was trying
they
to
felt
find
finished
something.
because it felt like
Yeah,
felt like both
true.
movies had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yes,
Like there was a conclusion for both stories.
but that's the
yeah.
thing though. That's why when we're talking about this movie, what you're doing is you literally are watching a single movie, but that single movie has two movies cut into it, and you're intersplicing between two movies. So it's as if you're got two TVs going, and you're watching one.
And then
And
during
then-
the ads, you're skipping to
Well,
the
no,
other movie.
just two TVs going. You're watching one, and you pause it, and then you jump to the other one, and you start watching the other one. And then when you jump back to the other one, you also hit the button to skip ahead by like 10 minutes, and it or only ever jumps to like action scenes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what it felt like you're watching. Because a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the actual plot structure and things that really
If
stick a
you
movie
read
together.
between the lines, I think I enjoyed this movie quite a bit.
Oh,
But
it
just
was
because,
really enjoyable.
Like, they never explain why they build the... Well, they never talk about why they build the Robo Vampire or how they know how to build him or how they have any idea of what's going on. But you can sort of figure out that, okay, that's what they're doing.
but it's
But they never talk about it.
It really is a movie where someone has literally, and this isn't even like exaggeration. This is a movie where someone's gone, oh yeah, let's cut together these two movies and just kind of put in the best, most entertaining bits, and then we'll dub over all the lines to sort of make them both be about the same
sort
thing.
of work. Yeah,
And it sort of
they're
works.
both about so
the
the
dubbing
basic
was
idea
funny.
is
The dubbing
there
was
is an
great.
evil drug group run by a guy called Yun.
Dude, I have no idea.
He has drugs all over the place, but the drug agency is starting to crack down because there's two different groups. There's a group that's starting to ambush his people, and there's also another group that are infiltrating his drug ring somehow. And that's the plot of the two different movies that have been mashed together. Like in each movie, it deals with drugs in a different way.
But the thing is, one of them's about vampires, though.
Yeah.
So this is a Chinese vampire thing where they're jumping vampires.
If you've
famously.
ever seen Mr. Vampire,
Yeah.
I think you said this was cut up from like a fourth movie.
So I was like, it wasn't just like Mr. Vampires and they're the same sort of jumping vampires.
Like I think they used some of the same jokes and
Yes.
sets
Yes.
from the first movie. Well, I've only seen the first one.
Well, what I did was
which I love.
I looked it up and I was looking at Mr. Vampire 4 is, I think, 1988 as well, right?
Oh, okay.
And I was looking at it.
How old is Mr. Vampire?
It has to be pre
Well,
that. I
obviously
think it's
before
like
that. I didn't realize it was
it's-
that old.
I'm not sure if it's 1970, like late 1970s or early 1980s.
Hmm.
But if you look at it, right, Mr. Vampire 4, that Taoist priest who is the guy who controls the vampires, he's the same guy who's in this movie. So though I haven't seen Mr. Vampire 4 and its descriptions aren't that good online, my guess is they've just used the same guy, or maybe it's even cut up from that movie.
Okay.
So that's just my guess.
So
Yeah.
basically, Yun, the drug dealer.
What about the vampires? We have to talk about them.
No, that's what. So
You're-
he has to deal with the
Okay.
drug agents. So to deal with the ones who are ambushing his group, he contacts the Taoist priest. The Taoist priest is evil, I guess.
I don't know.
Well, he's completely willing to work with these drug dealers to help deal drugs. So basically, he starts working. The Taoist priest starts working as an enforcer for the drug gang.
Yeah.
So next time they get ambushed along the road,
He
he's
can-
there in his robes and
and he can
stuff,
throw
getting
shit
shot
on the
at by
floor.
these American soldiers,
Yeah.
and he raises attack zombies who wipe the American
he
soldiers
can just
out.
throw shit
like,
on the
straight
floor
away.
and attack zombies coming out of nowhere.
They
but
just phase into existence
But a
behind
big
them.
thing is though that he actually gets a powerful vampire, sorry. And this powerful vampire though,
Well, it's a vampire monster thing. It looks
Yeah.
kind of it's basically a guy in a gorilla mask.
but that guy in the gorilla mask,
And
he has a
shoots,
lover.
He has the funniest effect.
Oh my god!
When he's not
yes.
bouncing around like doing kung fu, he stands with his arms out and shoots fireworks at people,
Just
like the
Roman
lamest
candles.
looking fireworks ever.
Yeah.
And it'll just it'll flick to him, and it's just a cut of him going swoosh, swoosh, swoosh as these fireworks just keep coming out for like minutes at a time. He'll just
Yeah.
stand there firing fireworks at people.
And then it'll cut back to the
fantastic.
other person. There was even one point I didn't. Okay, the way it was cut, he was doing it to the robot right at one point where he was firing it like that. But because it kept cutting back, it kept coming back to him lifting his hands up and then pulling his hands down, right? As if he's going to shoot the robot, then decides not to, and then it'll cut to the robot. And then it would cut back. But it didn't look like anything ever hit the robot, right?
I was thinking maybe they didn't put the effects in or something.
Well, I laughed because I only realized, I think on the fifth one, it looks like one actually kind of sparks near the robot.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, oh, they're not just repeating this scene of him. Because I thought it was like, it's as if someone was cutting up a weird joke on like YouTube where it's like, oh, get it? He raises the gun, then he puts it down. Then he raises the gun and he puts it down. That's what this guy did. But, oh, it's not even a joke. It's the fact that you can't see the effect properly. So it just looks like this vampire kind of raises his weapons and he's like, no. Then he does. No. Then he does.
So we
No.
should mention the beast vampire who he raises actually has a complicated backstory.
Right.
So it turns out, as the Taoist priest is raising the beast vampire to fight for him as like his main attack guy,
Yeah.
this Western ghost turns up, and it's this Western looking lady in the most like see-through white satin gown you could possibly. You can just see everything.
Yeah,
is on display.
You could actually see.
She immediately attacks the priest, and it turns out that she and the beast vampire were lovers in life, but the beast's parents, because he's Eastern, his parents wouldn't let them date. So they decided to meet up in the afterlife. But now that he's being captured by the Taoist priest, they aren't allowed to. So one of the American drug guys is with the Taoist priest, and he comes over and just goes, "Oh, come on, be nice to them, Taoist priest. Just marry them and have them work for you."
That's right. He was like, "Yeah, let them love each other."
Yeah, there's a weird part where it's like the Robo vampire parts of the movies are semi-comical. Like they're meant to be kind of comical.
Right.
But the other movie is dead serious and occasionally shows like
I
massacres and
did
stuff.
prefer the other movie because from that point on with the Robo.
I thought honestly
except
I
for that-
enjoyed both of them together.
No, see the thing is that the Robo Vampire nearly then the remainder of their scenes, like 90%, are just battles. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that,
and
there
a
wasn't that much to it.
fantastic high speed chase film. I gotta say, not Need for Speed, Fast and Furious. Those guys, they better watch out because this movie
I
has
can't remember
do
that at all.
you remember the amazing chase scene at the very end? The amazing chase scene between the very slow walking robot and the very slow
oh my God.
walking away vampire.
If there was one problem, it was towards
No.
the end. The battle between the robot and the
no.
beast and the ghost went on for way too long.
I disagree
yeah, so
wholeheartedly.
the-
That was not bad. That was hilarious.
Ridiculous.
I have never seen
that wasn't even too bad, but the actual fighting went on. For
them walking. There was this long bridge, and you
because
see them walking up to it, and then they keep walking, and you just have a scene of them walking across the bridge.
The vampires in this universe, they don't run. They bounce.
Yep.
And unless they're like bouncing like around with special effects and stuff, when you actually see them, they're pretty slow. Like they
Yeah.
can't actually go that
Well,
fast.
imagine someone's
And-
hopping, but it's like one,
it's like a
two,
slow
hop.
hop.
It's that speed. 1, 2, hop. 1, 2, hop.
Yeah. So
1,
any
2, hop.
time you see them have to go for a long distance, they actually take a long time to get anywhere. And at the same time, you've got RoboCop,
No,
Who
Robo He's not
is a
RoboCop.
guy doing Robo Vampire, who is a guy doing like a robot impression, like
So
one
he
of those
walks
guys
slow.
outside of the carnival, pretending to do the robot. So he's literally walking like that
So it was
the entire time.
It was the slowest chasing
And
you've
his
ever seen.
costume is hilarious.
Oh, he is
knee
great.
pad man. He has knee pads sprayed silver strapped to him all
Yeah.
over his body. That is his armor. And at certain points, the straps come off and the knee pads will like flap around.
Oh, it's so good.
It is ridiculous.
It is so good.
Yeah, so the vampires start working for the drug guys and they wipe out the drug agents, including.
Well, Salty and Brown.
Well, we don't.
We do know their names. They
We
said,
know their
I
names.
Sent,
We don't know
I
who's
sent,
who, though.
I sent my 2 men to go stop them, Salty and Brown.
Yeah. And
One of them gets turned into the robot. We don't know which one.
they all get killed, and then it goes to a lab. We figured it was a lab, not a hospital, and it looked like they were trying to help the guy, but it was just the nurse, like half-heartedly pressing on the guy's chest, while the doctor was in the other room going, "No, he's not gonna make it." It's like maybe you should help. I don't
Yeah.
know. That was ridiculous.
Maybe
But
you should do something.
he dies, and then there's a montage of a guy cutting up what I'm pretty sure was just like paper mache sprayed silver
Yep.
and sticking a
was.
battery into like a hollow mannequin.
Yeah. A really bad looking one.
And then-
Not convincing.
And this goes on for a bit, this weird montage of him working on this weird mannequin. And then all of a sudden, Robo Vampire just sits right up.
And he's suddenly a man.
There's no talking about it. There's no discussion about what's happening.
I gotta say though,
They just make him.
the best thing about Robo Vampire is the fact that multiple actors play him, and you can tell.
A couple, you can't see
can
his
tell.
face except for a couple of times. But
The thing is too, so he was one of the Western drug DEA agents. I don't know.
they're not DEA. They just call them drug agents.
Okay, so he
Yeah.
was one of the Western ones, and there's only like 3-4 Western dudes in this film, right? And you can tell the difference between when it's him playing the role and when they just have some local dude playing the role, because he's got this visor, and that was so funny because I pointed out, I was like, well, he can't see shit in that visor, but they must have used two different visors because during certain
At certain
scenes,
points, you could see right through it. I
Yeah.
think they were putting duct tape over it.
yes, it was duct
sometimes.
tape. It was duct
Yeah.
tape. His visor was made of duct tape, but during one of the scenes they forgot to duct tape over it, so maybe they were like, oh, he needs to see for this one.
Yeah, and we were looking at it, and it's like, that's not the same guy.
It's a different
Especially because
dude.
I think the Western guy has kind of like a
Lighter
bigger
skin
bigger
too.
chin.
Yeah.
So when the strap's on, it sort of pushes it around a bit.
No, I thought it was the other way. One of them's like
I don't know.
he's got a bit more weight, so the strap kind of you can kind of see.
Either
doesn't
way, it
fit
looks
right.
equally ridiculous.
You know, it's a different dude. It's just so funny.
Anyway,
it's great. I love the robot.
there's immediately a sort of rip-off scene of RoboCop where, out of nowhere, he just enters a drug making place
Wait,
and
can we
tells
say?
all the criminals to surrender, which I think is the only time you hear him talk.
I know you said out of nowhere, but that goes without saying. All these scenes are this. Ethan's
No, but
explained this
some
as
of them
if
have
it's one movie so
the
far.
so the other part of the movie
no,
with the
don't.
commandos
No.
has
I
has a
think
bit
it's-
more flow to
I
it.
think it's better to go through the robot one because it's simpler.
I think that's the only way you can
so you got to remember,
like talk about this
he's-
movie is
he-
like as two individual movies.
Ethan's explained this so far as if we've only seen the robot vampire
Well,
one.
until the Robo vampire gets introduced, that's most of what you see. You don't see much of the other movie.
No, you do.
Until afterwards.
No, we've had like 3 or 4 cutaways.
I was pretty sure that at least to the first ambush, it's mostly the Robo vampire bit.
No, I'm pretty sure we cut away like once or twice.
Mm.
That's the thing. You got to remember this. I'm pretty sure you are right that there is more because they do this big vampire scenes at the start,
Yeah.
and then they do a lot less. But there has already been, I think, 2 cutaways.
Anyway, the drug dealers start heading back down the same empty road that they got ambushed the last time, which, you know, maybe you should try changing things up
Oh,
a
what
bit.
about the start of the film though?
What? What about the start of the film?
What even happened then?
When they got ambushed,
who got ambushed? Who was
What?
that?
the drug dealers got ambushed by the drug agents. That's why the drug kingpin Yun hired the Taoist priest. We've been over this, Jared. You got to
No.
keep up. You got to keep up.
No, that's not what happened at the start of the film.
Yeah.
They get attacked by the vampire.
Oh, that's a tiny little cutscene just before the credits. For some reason,
The vampire that they use later on attacks the drug dealers, but we don't know why.
no, they aren't the drug dealers. The soldiers are chasing 2 guys into this place,
Right.
and they accidentally open one of the coffins, and
And
some
as-
vampires come out and kill them.
Well, a
And that's
snake
it.
is thrown out of the coffin by someone,
Snakes
and you can clearly
explode out of the
you
coffin.
can clearly see someone throw
Snakes
it
died
out.
in this film.
Oh, it was great.
A few
Oh,
animals
well, that wasn't
died
great.
in this film.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'll say. The animal stuff's not great.
Oh,
There's a cow
man.
scene. There's a cow scene. That's
I
what. That's
remember
the
that
first
now.
one. I actually have it written down.
That
That's the
happens a
first-
little later.
I think that's the first one of the other film, or there's the one where they try and stop the people. But we'll go to that film later.
Yeah,
So continue with
anyway-
the robot one, because it will be too much jumping between
so
stuff.
now the drug agents have RoboCop, Robo Vampire.
Just call him RoboCop
I'll try not to
because
but
he's
I
not a
will.
vampire.
Yeah, I don't think he's a vampire at all.
But he
Because
does
the
get stuck-
the Chinese vampires are actually trying to like kill and bite people. I don't think he is. I think he's just RoboCop. Like, there's nothing. He's a dead guy, but with robo bits. I
Well,
don't
he
know.
says stuff every now and then, and you always have a really bad special
Barely.
effects of whenever he's moving. You hear.
Yeah. The drug agents ambush the druggies again, but this time when the Taoist priest brings out his vampires, RoboCop's there, and he guns them down with his massive machine
Actually-
gun and fights them.
That's funny because I think. Wait, does RoboCop get there right after he finishes killing the soldiers?
I think at least
was
a
that
few of
another
the soldiers
scene?
definitely
I think that's
die.
another scene. They do that a few times. You're just like, wow, why wouldn't you just send in RoboCop first?
Yeah.
Like, send him in.
So yeah, RoboCop wipes most of them out, but the Taoist priest escapes, and a few of the others.
Yes. Then we have another one on the beach, I believe, where they ambush RoboCop.
No, that's the same one. It just goes for a long time.
Oh, well, then they ambush RoboCop.
No, that's later towards the end.
Well, when did they go to the
yeah.
beach? This is
Yeah,
important,
yeah,
the
yeah.
beach.
They
Lure him onto
have
the
another
beach.
fight with RoboCop,
Yes.
and
Matthew McConaughey, though, this time. It's not It's not the Taoist priest.
The Taoist priest is there as well
Is
because
he?
the vampires like hold him down.
Okay, I do know other
and
vampires.
the
are
drug
there.
dealers shoot him with a rocket launcher.
You know what? I don't think the priest is there. I know the
He's
other
there because he controls the vampires.
No, but you never see him.
Not in the same shots. But
Okay,
he's
we'll
meant
just
to be
assume
there.
he's there. Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. So they go to the beach, and there's a very funny scene where the robot, they're like, they've just put some gasoline on the floor and lit a fire, and they're like, oh, how's the robot gonna do this? And then he kind of sinks through the sand.
Into the sand behind them. Yeah, they've set up like a trench sort of thing,
Yeah, which is odd, but then he just appears out of the sand,
which is great.
and you got to think about it, mechanical, robot, electronics, and sand.
Well, you got to remember, it's not electronics; it's knee pads,
That's true, but
silver knee pads. Jared, I didn't have a problem with that at all.
My imagination let it flow. What I saw was an advanced, like $10 billion man. Is what I saw.
Okay, yeah,
Okay?
true.
That's what I saw. What is wrong with you? Live a little,
Anyway,
imagine a little.
they hit him with a rocket launcher, and he explodes into flames.
That
Like,
was great too because
they
the
just-
dummy was so
They
shit.
just filled the dummy with like petrol or something and
Yeah.
set it on fire.
And it doesn't look like
It doesn't look like a RoboCop or a man. It's just a dummy on fire. It's brilliant.
You know, in a joke movie where someone's like, "Oh, look, the guy's gonna jump out the window," and
It'll cut to like the
throw-
most fake dummy ever,
Like
like
a-
falling out of the window.
Yeah, but
there is a
obviously
lot of
fake.
that in this movie.
Except I think they thought it looked good. Like it's completely wrong proportions.
That sort of thing happens a lot. There's a lot of fake dummies getting thrown like across rooms and stuff. It's
Yeah.
pretty great.
So also when you're looking at the dummy, it is blown apart. Like you can see through its like shell.
Yeah,
properly,
it's missing.
And then it cuts back to the people putting back together the robot, and
And
they're
it's
like,
just that one the engineer or whatever, and he says like one line in the whole movie, and it's just like, yeah, we can fix him.
no. And then he says he just
He just short-circuited. I'm like,
which-
no, you could see through his entire chest cavity.
We all broke apart laughing because we're like, that's what you're saying? We can see he blew up.
Yeah.
He blew up. That wasn't a little short circuit. He blew up. And then they put him together and he's completely fine. And he goes back. And does he now fight the monster?
This is towards the end of the whole movie. So the last bit of the whole movie is
Oh yeah, because we
the
skipped
Robo
to the other
vampire
film.
section. Well, we haven't touched the other film
Yeah.
yet.
But we'll just keep
Uh,
going with this one because it's too confusing. The other
he-
film's got a lot more funny things to
I
point
think he's
out.
going to go and have a showdown with the Taoist monk. He heads into like an abandoned village
Yes.
where he goes up into one of the rooms and he finds the ghost
Mm-hmm. And the vampire.
and the beast vampire
Fucking.
fucking.
They're
Yeah.
fucking.
They beg him to spare him. He has a weird flashback where it's him as a human with his family.
Yep.
I don't even know what this guy's name is, right?
Well, we know it's either salty.
He doesn't
or
talk.
brown.
He's just like, okay. He just turns around, just walks down the
Yeah,
stairs.
that was weird.
And I'm like,
they
okay,
negotiated with
that's
him
nice.
well.
So he's just gonna fight the Taoist priest and the beast vampires and the ghosts are gonna go off and live. And it's like, no. Instantly, the ghost turns around and starts attacking him and laughing at him.
There's some
That
great
starts
scenes.
probably a really long fight that probably went for too long.
They fly. We're really underselling
Eventually,
the robot.
ghost turns against the Taoist priest because I don't think she ever liked him.
Wait. That fight scene actually ends with him being thrown into a coffin, and it cuts. And we all like, oh, he got thrown in the coffin, and then later on, it just comes back up, and it doesn't matter. He's just gone out.
Who gets
somehow.
thrown in the coffin?
The robot. That's the end of that fight scene.
No, I thought that fight scene went on for a while.
It did go on for a while, but the
Yeah.
vampire and the ghost beat him by throwing him into a coffin, and it just cuts. And then when we come back, because we're all like, "What happened?" He's just out somehow.
I just remember
somewhere
that all
else.
as one scene.
Yeah, no,
honestly.
because it doesn't make sense. It literally, it's a continuous battle that goes for too long, and suddenly he's thrown into a coffin, and it just cuts.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, we are underselling the vampire/robot fights because it's a bit hard to describe. It's crazy things.
You've got these Chinese vampires who are bouncing around
Yeah.
in formation,
But they're not only doing that.
occasionally grabbing or doing kung fu,
Yes.
while this RoboCop American man basically does the robot moves with the machine gun in the
Yes.
center of these people.
But the other thing is that there's a lot of like crazy, like they fly through the air.
Yeah,
they
fly.
can teleport.
There's a lot of fireworks
know?
going off because they shoot them out of their hands.
Fireworks all the time. Teleportation, which is really
The
cool.
witch constantly has her tits out.
The witch does that thing where she shoots her
What
cloth.
does she shoot?
She shoots
yeah,
like it's
her
part of
robes
her
or
clothing.
something fly around.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm trying to not to, that's the thing. I understand
the
it might sound
ghost
boring.
turns on
but
the
it's actually
Taoist
very
priest. The
entertaining.
Taoist priest banishes her.
Wait,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
why.
way later. So this is later. This is
later in the
another-
movie, but not
The RoboCop
in
turns
terms
up,
of what's
though.
happening.
The RoboCop turns up again.
Yeah, and now without the ghost, the beast vampire decides to run into the city, which starts off this really weird section where it's two lovers in the city talking about whether or not they love each other.
And the girl closes her
doesn't
eyes for a
seem
kiss.
to, but then wants to make out. And of course, that's when the beast vampire with the gorilla mask bounces by and they all run away. That's where the slowest chase scene I've ever seen starts.
So good.
Because he is bouncing across this really long bridge, and the whole way RoboCop is chasing him, step by step, slow as.
It's brilliant. High
people
stakes
like
chasing.
people walk out of their way easily.
And you want to know how he gets away quickly too? So what happens is RoboCop is eventually catching up on him because he is a bit quicker than a vampire that's hopping, right? But then the thing is, it's the end of the bridge, right? Which means the bridge kind of goes down. It's a decline, right?
It's hard to bounce down.
Right? But you know what you can do? You can roll down it. So suddenly the
No, doesn't he just do that thing where he just pops to somewhere else?
he rolls down the bridge.
Yeah,
and
at
it's
certain
so
points the
funny.
vampires can just phase to somewhere
Oh yeah,
else.
the teleportation thing.
Yeah,
no,
the
but
teleport.
At this point, the robot, I shit you not, jumps and then hits his side and just rolls down a bridge, and it's really entertaining.
Yeah.
And then we have a few more teleportation scenes, him fighting the robot.
The ghost comes back and sets the Taoist priest on fire. Am I remembering
Wait,
that right?
doesn't the robot shoot the Taoist priest?
Yeah, but nothing happens.
I can't remember. I can't
The
actually
Taoist
remember
priest just
what.
summons more vampires.
The ending is pretty anticlimactic. Apart from the bridge chase scene,
The priest
it's
dies.
very
I
anticlimactic.
can't remember if the robot actually defeats the beast vampire or he just leaves.
I do not remember either.
Yeah, and then it kind of ends.
So that's that one. It's good that we did that movie by itself because
That
there
is
are
the
far less-
Robo vampire bit, and it is the bit that makes the least amount of sense, but it is also the most spectacular bit.
The thing is that also all my notes on the Robo Vampire, they're all just
weird
about
fights happen.
Yes.
What's happening?
they're all just like what happened. They're in a coffin. They're jumping, haha, like things like that.
Mm.
They're not really anything you can go off, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. There's not too
So
much.
in the end of
Oh,
that
the
section of the
Americans
film,
the Americans come back too.
the drug
I don't know.
agents.
I think they.
So
just
at the
get
end of that
shot.
section, the Americans turn up at one point and they get shot. Yun, the drug dealer, his sort of deal with the Taoist priest falls through and his drug running operation ends
All right,
with that group.
let's go to a movie, which is, in my opinion, the kind of more entertaining. Like that one's still entertaining,
No,
but
I
it's the
found
same
I found the
battles.
Robo Vampire bit to be the most entertaining.
Really?
The
I found the
vampires
other
went
one.
for too long. I think you enjoyed the
I
other
way
parts
preferred the
because
other
it
one.
was more of a coherent story with actual talking.
It was funnier. I
It
loved
made the
dialogue.
most sense because the other part is grounded and it has no supernatural elements at all. There's no vampires or robots or anything.
You know what? It's because
It's just a straight up boring.
it's not boring.
It's
very
just a
funny.
straight up boring commandos go and take out drug dealers.
Yeah, it's great. No, there's a great love story with Sydney.
Cindy.
Si-
Sydney is Sydney from Sydney. Cindy from Sydney.
yes.
Yeah. They're Andy and Cindy are probably the best bits of the movie.
So these
Well,
guys.
they're your favorite bits.
Okay, so what we've got here, right? We've got this one dude. He's our main guy.
We should talk about why he's brought in. So Yun, the drug dealer,
Yeah.
finds out that there is probably a mole in the organization, or there's another drug running group. So he sends his team of hitmen,
To a
including this
priest.
guy who totally does not have a tattoo on his hand, who is his lieutenant, up to this church, and they find.
Wait, does that guy go? I don't think that
Yeah,
guy's
no,
in
he's there. He's
Are
there.
you sure?
He's got the beanie on.
Is he in that one too?
He leads them. He's their left hand guy.
He is crazy.
He's one of the best parts of the movie. and probably the best actor.
They go to this guy who
They
I
find out
think is a priest.
the cross is filled
Whoa,
with cocaine.
What are you doing? They kill the priest. The priest is like, I don't have any cocaine.
Yeah,
And then,
they knock the cross, the big cross over, and it's filled with cocaine. So
and
of
then
course they
this
shoot
guy,
the priest.
this guy who's horribly dubbed just yells, "The drugs!" There's so many great dubbing. Like that's the thing. That is what I was disappointed by. The dubbing is great.
It's fantastic.
It is,
I
but
mean,
there's not enough.
You have no idea what these people are actually saying because
no.
even the Western people who are speaking English probably are
all
horribly dubbed.
There are so many, but that's it. That's what disappointed me.
It's
I
like
was
to the
like,
point
dub
where
it
their
more. I
movie,
want
their
more
mouths
dubbing.
will maybe open and shut for a second, and they'll have like huge lengths of dialogue.
Yes, but the lines were great too.
Yeah.
There were so many great lines.
After they kill the priest, I think it's meant to be a nun pulls out a machine gun and starts
I don't
gunning
think
them down.
That's just a DEA agent.
Yeah, no, but she's pretending to be a nun.
I don't know.
She's dressed as a nun.
Is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
They capture her, and yeah, she's a drug agent.
So
So that's the plot of the second movie, or the other part of Robo Vampire is
let's just call it a second movie.
the drug agents bring in a commando. I can't remember his name or his group's
He
name.
never
I'm
gets
just
a
going to
name.
call them Commando.
Okay.
They're the Commando group. And he and 3 guys get sent to free the drug agent.
Yeah. And we also do get a few. He's been taken to the drug guy's place and water tortured. Though you don't get to.
The
you
drug
don't see
agents
this
are
straight
being
away.
water tortured, and it is literally them strapped to a chair, and they've got like taps set up on the roof, and you can open them so it drips down.
But the
water
weird
on
thing
them.
with her scene is you don't actually see the tap straight away at the start. So you
She
keep,
just looks like she's wet.
she
like
looks
she's
like
just
she's
come out
wet,
of the bath or
but she
something.
keeps grabbing her hair, and I kept saying that I was like, why is she grabbing her
But
hair
you don't
so
find out
much?
there are taps there till like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So it just looks like she's randomly swatting at her face.
Like, I really thought, I was like, oh, she's got, like, drug withdrawals or something. So these commandos need to go get it back.
yeah. We get a weird shot of the drug dealer's base, and this is where the really disturbing bit was.
Oh, yeah, so this is,
So
heads up here.
They are moving drugs. I couldn't tell if the cows were still alive or...
They were dead.
Well, so there is a very freshly dead cow. Like, it
Very.
is still moving as this woman has cut its stomach open, and she's stuffing bags of cocaine into its still moving corpse.
Yeah.
Little disturbing.
Because
But,
they
and then
did
she
way
showed,
too long
but
on
but
it.
then she sewed it shut, and I was like, "Is that like from like Blood Diamond, where they move the diamonds in like living animals,
Yeah.
something like that?"
No, I think it was dead.
I think. Well, if it wasn't dead, it was dying.
I hope so. I fucking hope so.
Yeah. it was-
God. That was... there was-
the
they
woman doing
waited-
this,
they stayed
the
on
woman
that
doing
so
that
long.
is also the one who helps in the end. Like, I think she thought it was a shit job as well.
But this is the better movie anyway. They shoot kids.
See, I thought the other bit was better.
Okay, let's keep going.
Okay.
Sorry,
It wasn't better. I enjoyed it more.
So the commandos need to find someone who knows where this drug base is.
Luckily, he has a friend he can call in who works in the area.
Was it Andy?
Andy.
Andy.
And Andy
the
is
Australian.
dubbed by an Aussie, and it's hilarious because he comes out and goes, "G'day, I'm Andy.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you."
and he's not as... I mean... Well,
Obviously, the actual actor is not Australian, and no one else has an Australian accent except his sister. And I like that the fact they've actually gone out and for the brother and sister, they have gotten strong Australian accents from the same area.
she was so
Because she
funny.
comes out and goes, "Oh, hi, you must be Andy's friend.
she was
I'm
so...
Cindy."
She was so good.
They were great. Yeah.
Cindy had a scene that made me laugh the most in the movie as well. But Andy
So they
helps him find this dude. Well, this guy.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so Andy knows that the left-hand guy, the drug lord, he has a tattoo on his right hand. That's how you could recognize him.
Yeah.
And they sort of know where he'll be. They go and capture him.
Well, they
Now
go,
here's the thing: when
Oh,
you
they
see
go into
him,
town. They go into. Oh, okay, keep going.
when they see him, there is a very large tattoo prominently displayed on his right hand. And throughout the rest of the movie, that's how
also,
they identify him. And through the
clearly-
rest of the movie,
Clearly, just
he
drawn
has no
on.
tattoo on his hand.
It's clearly just black ink.
It is
It's
just for
not-
that scene.
it is
It's
not
like
a
a
tattoo.
dark henna tattoo sort of thing.
It's not. It's like they used
Like
a
a
big
rub-on
pen.
sort of thing.
They used a pen.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's so great because of course, they go to the town and they find him straight away because of course
He's having an arm wrestling
in
competition
the
with the
middle of
rest of the
town.
village for
Yeah.
some reason.
So the guy just goes down as soon as he sees him, starts assaulting him,
Yeah.
and then they get him, and then after beating them up, they somehow can. That's right, he was beating him
They-
up, wasn't getting the answer. Then Andy
Yeah,
turns
he was
up.
totally loyal, and then Andy's like, "Well, we'll
Wh-
release you, but
No,
do
he
you
says-
really think they're gonna like let you
Doesn't he
believe that you
say-
haven't talked?"
Doesn't he say like we'll try and convince him? I don't even think he does that. He just suddenly they come back and he's like, yeah,
no,
part
no,
of
no,
your
no. He
team
says
now.
that. He's like, but he says it. He doesn't say it, but it's dubbed onto him as he's walking up. So his
Ah.
mouth doesn't move, but he's talking.
Yeah,
That's possibly why it's hard to pick up what they're saying
Well,
sometimes.
but then the funny thing is too, it's not like
so
he's just
so the
roughly
bad
come
guy
across.
just goes, okay, he joins the good guys and he's a good guy now.
He is a good guy.
And he is a good guy. He helps them out a lot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, now I think we have a scene where we find Cindy. How do we?
Cindy just
I
joins
can't
up with
remember.
them. She just walks
And
up
that's
and
when
joins
we
up.
find out she's Andy's brother. I
Yeah.
think it's because our commando dude goes off to do a mission and she turns up to help him.
Well, that's the thing. Like with the Robo Vampire bit, this bit is cut up as well. So sometimes they'll just be at different places.
There's
The
a few
next
drug
point
missions.
is they have
That's
the next
thing,
point is
there's
they
a
have
few
an
of those.
ambush for some of the druggies in town where they just pretend to be drunks
Yeah, that
and
was
they attract them and then fight them. Then it flicks to a scene where Cindy is in a spring
Oh, this is great. Okay, so Cindy,
bathing naked.
she's in a spring, bathing naked, and of course our commando dude comes up and is like, "Ho ho!"
I think there'd been maybe a little chemistry between them, but
Okay,
it
but-
was hard to tell.
But those scenes were cut out, and we never saw them. So the only scene we've seen is she being like, "Oh, I'm Andy's brother," and him being like, "Okay." And now we've got this bath scene between the two of them. He turns up, and she's like, "Wow, show some respect, mate." And then
She's sort of playfully.
No.
Well, she looks playful,
Whoa,
but she
whoa.
doesn't sound. That's the thing
Okay,
because
yeah.
it isn't her talking. It's like in the movie, it looks like she's sort of giving him the eye.
Yeah.
But the way she sounds is, "What the hell are you looking at?"
so that's a really funny
Because
thing.
she's smiling at him and sounding sort of angry.
In
I
the
couldn't
yes,
quite tell what was happening.
and it's because in the movie, I reckon in the real movie, they've probably had a few scenes. It's probably been
Yeah.
20 minutes of them getting together, right? But in this movie, you don't have that. Then you also have the dialogue. It doesn't match what she's doing. So in her scene, she's playful, like throwing, oh dog, she's like splashing water in him and everything. So Cindy doesn't sound like she was interested in him, but she's also like.
Well, you know,
beckoning him.
she sounds kind of joking.
She
maybe
doesn't. No, because this is what happens.
she doesn't
right?
seem that upset.
Right. So he, of course, strips straight down, jumps. Actually, was he wearing something? You remarked about that. He's
Looked like he had a black bar or black underwear.
Okay, I didn't get to see it in time. So he jumps in the water,
Didn't get
and then yeah,
You were really looking forward to that, weren't
I was
you?
like, he's finally
The
naked.
commando's going in.
I've
Commando.
had enough of these tits and everything. I want the
Oh.
commando.
Not that there's actually much nudity in this film, except for the naked ghost.
That's right. Well, yeah, you don't really see.
She's underwater the whole time.
You don't really see
Cindy.
Cindy. And this is the funniest scene too, because this is the one that just doesn't sound right, where she turns around and she goes, "Go away!" And then it's
They
just
sort of fool around and
it just
hug a bit in
doesn't
the
sound
water.
right. No, because then he swims right over and she's like swimming and it looks like he's going straight down to stick his head into her ass. Like
To take a
straight-
bite out of it, sort of thing.
This is the weird thing. It's not like a small build up of sexual tension. It's clear that we've missed all those scenes. To us, they've met and now he's clearly in love with her and they like each other and now he's going straight into eat her ass.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But I'm just saying, it feels like he should have done some other steps.
Yeah. And then it cuts to them finding a massacre with a bunch of people
Well, actually-
upside down on
No,
crosses.
it doesn't. It cuts to them running away from the drug dealers because I think they got ambushed.
Oh yeah, they get ambushed in the watering hole.
Well, I know.
Somehow.
No, they got ambushed and they have clothes on and they're just running away in the wild. Right? I don't know how.
Yeah, that might have been in between a bit with the robot vampire.
And then does Andy turn up? I think, or another
they
drug
get
crew.
saved by Andy
Wait, no.
and the guy with the tattoo
No.
who doesn't have a tattoo.
No, they don't. They get caught.
Oh, yeah, no, they actually do get captured. That's
Right.
right.
Okay. And then Andy
They
finds,
get captured and they get sent to where the drug
Wait.
agent is, and they start getting the water torture.
and then the woman
Man,
there
oh
helps
wow.
them to get at.
The woman who was cutting up the
When
cow.
did they find the village with all the dead kids?
I think that was after they get captured, and it's Andy and his group find it.
Okay. And there's all these dead kids.
Well, there's a bunch of the whole
Wait.
village is wiped out.
No, because Cindy's with them.
It doesn't matter.
It
okay?
matters a lot.
No, it doesn't matter.
There are viewers of this podcast. We respect you. We like you.
We don't have to
appreciate
go
you.
through everything in chronological order. Okay?
Anyway,
because the movie doesn't.
It's great because they go there. There's lots of dead kids everywhere, and there's upside down crosses with they have tortured all this entire village.
People like hacked up and nailed upside
it's
down to
only
crosses.
women and children.
And this is in between the comedy of bouncing vampires and robot cops.
Yeah, it fell a little bit off. I feel like they didn't quite get that tone right.
Yeah, which
and
is
then-
why I was like, this isn't a comedy. It's a comedy and a serious drug film smashed together.
Well, it's great because then a kid comes out and they're like, "Okay, kid, we don't know."
No,
if
that's
he's good
later
or
in a
bad."
that's later.
No, that's when they visit that area.
No, that's later.
No.
No, because that village gets wiped out and they go to a drug village where the drugs are being made. That's when they're going towards the bad guy's main base.
That's where all the dead people are.
Pretty sure that was a different village.
Nope.
Pretty sure it
Nope.
was.
That's the only
Okay,
reason they
whatever.
let him go is because they think they're not sure if he's either a drug dealer or.
No, it's just because he's a kid.
I can't tell.
I'm pretty sure it's later because
It doesn't matter. So
yeah,
this
whatever.
kid comes out of somewhere, one
Yeah.
of the villages, the scenes, and they let him go because they're not sure.
Well, one of the commando. No, not the commando. I
No.
think it's.
Sydney and Andy. Andy. It's Andy.
I'm not sure who lets him go, but they let
Andy
him go. And was it the guy with the tattoo or Andy spin around and just shoot him
Andy
in the back?
shoots him.
Yeah.
No, well, the kid comes back, but he's holding a grenade.
Oh yeah,
so-
Cindy's with them at that point,
And
but I
Sydney
don't think
tells
she's there
it-
later.
She's like, "Let him go."
Yeah.
And then he comes back with a grenade, and then Andy shoots, and he's
He
like,
doesn't even come back with a grenade. He's just standing there with a grenade in his hand.
"Yeah," because he's done the right thing. He's found a dangerous weapon, and he's been told, if you find a grenade or something, you got to find it. You got to give it to an adult. So this kid, he went into his hut and was like, "Oh my god, a grenade!" And he's like, "Look, I found a grenade." Bam, he's dead.
Yeah.
And Sydney's like, "You cold-hearted warrior."
Yeah, but he's got a. Then they're like, yeah, but look, he's got a grenade in his hand.
And I just remembered. Do you remember how? I think we actually do remember the robot is actually called a Robo warrior. I think because
I look, they
I
keep
heard it as-
changing up through the whole thing. But
Anyway,
it might have been Robo Warrior.
So yeah, they shoot a kid.
Yeah, so the commando, Cindy, and the drug agent have been captured. And they're
Yeah.
all getting the water torture. The girl who was cutting up the cow is like, "I'm gonna help get you guys out of here, and then we'll all make an escape," because she doesn't want to cut up cows anymore. 'cause that's just
also
gross.
because this is apparently a video game, there are there are two types of enemies in this.
Most of them are like low-level grunts with guns, but I
Yeah.
think there's like 3 or 4 guys in
They're higher level.
weird robes, and they're just muscle guys.
Yeah, because they've got no t-shirts on because obviously that's
They're pretty buff.
they have to show their muscles. So
Yeah.
but they only ever get 4. Well, actually, no, one does get shot. Anyway, it's just important because they get
Cowgirl goes
ripped
and
apart.
turns the taps off that are dripping on him, setting him insane.
Yeah.
And they start escaping when the tough guys notice.
Yeah, well,
which
one of
starts
them
a
does.
bit of a fight. And Cindy comes in and just rips the guy's eyes right out of his head. That
I
was
like
fantastic.
that. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
because the big buff guy, of course, is beating the shit out of them. Like,
That's I like that. That was
all
realistic.
4 of them are just getting thrown around the room, and Cindy just comes in and just jams her fingers into this guy's eyes.
I like the fact that it's like, yeah, if there's that much of a difference between them, all that stuff, it's like, yeah, doing these crazy kicks won't work. But yeah, if you rip out someone's eyes, it's gonna hurt.
At the same time, the commando group and Andy assault the bad guy's place,
And this is good.
and throughout the movie, guns haven't been very effective. Like,
Oh,
they'll fire like 1 or 2 shots, and maybe one guy will fall over.
Though guns don't really make sense since shotguns seem to fire multiple
Just like
rounds.
machine guns?
They're like machine guns, and it's really weird because you see them cock and buck back and to shoot, but they keep shooting multiple shots.
But at this point,
It's very weird.
wave after wave of drug guys are coming out of this building, and they're just gunning them down.
Also, I was sure Andy had a
great.
bigger team. There's only like 5 of them assault this place.
Just the main characters assault the place.
I think there's
the
also
rest of the team take a break.
there seems to be other members on this team who are were meant to have scenes with because they one like.
I think we're meant to feel when one of them dies, but
Oh,
we don't.
do you remember
We don't
when?
feel for any
Do you
of these
remember when they're
characters.
assaulting this place and they're hiding behind a brick wall, right?
Yeah.
And they can't get around because they're being shot at. And one of them literally just yells, "Screw it, I'm going in," or something like that.
Instantly
and then he
gets
just
gunned down by like 50 people as he runs by himself
that was
into
so,
the open door.
That was so dumb. But then
But-
this other one, yeah. Do you want to say his thing?
So the other guy, so they see this guy get gunned down. They're like, okay, gonna have to throw out a grenade. Okay, takes out a grenade. I'm like, okay,
Puts
so he's
his-
gonna throw it in through the door.
No, then he puts it in his pocket.
Puts it in his pocket, does a somersault backflip thing
But
across
through
the,
the same door.
No, across the door. So he goes to the other side
but
of the door for
through.
some reason.
No, he
No,
doesn't.
he doesn't go
Doesn't
through.
he go
He
through?
just goes to the other
Are
side
you
for some
sure?
reason.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure he
because then
goes through.
he climbs up the wall,
Yeah,
up onto the roof,
and then he chucks it down.
and then throws the grenade
Okay,
into the room.
I'm agreeing with you, but I am actually fairly sure.
That's when he throws a couple of dummies off the roof and they flail hilariously as
Yeah.
they fall down.
Okay, I agree with you, except for the fact that he doesn't cross the other side of the door. He crosses through the door. The same way that
I
that
didn't
guy
think-
got
no,
shot.
I thought there was just like a big hole in the
I,
roof.
I swear, like God, he crosses through the
I
same.
thought it had like a courtyard
no,
sort of thing.
he goes to
Ah,
the
I can't
same
remember.
goddamn entrance that the other guy just got shot in.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
doesn't make sense.
No, I didn't think he went in. I thought he
I-
went across. Okay,
I'm actually
okay,
gonna
whatever.
check this video
The
out
whole thing
afterwards. I'll
was-
have in the description who if he
Anyway,
went through the door.
They
or
gun
across it.
down. I think they kill Yun.
They just
and
keep
all of his
shooting
people.
They shoot so many people. But yeah, throwing the people off the roof was pretty funny. They also have like 2 or 3 scenes with the big guys. One of them they kick and okay, I don't know
Not
why.
many, but yeah.
I do not know why. But there is just a boiling pit of tar that one of them falls into and is screaming, and I'm like, oh. And then our actor, well, one of our actors, I think it's the tattooed guy, goes, oh no. And I'm like, yeah, that
That actually
like,
does look pretty bad.
that looks
That guy
really
sell-
bad.
That guy sells the my skin is peeling off look. It's good.
Yeah.
They rescue them, and that's it. Because then it goes to the final Robo Vampire
Yeah.
showdown. That goes on for like half
God,
an
is that
hour.
it?
I think
That's the problem
it.
that-
Yeah, because that's that storyline wrapped up. Because now Yun's production and his like distribution networks have been destroyed. Because the whole thing is at his base where the drugs are being made. I don't know if Yun was actually there, but yeah.
I remember thinking like, if only this vampire would turn up in Twilight, that'd be so much more entertaining if they were
Or
the Twilight.
Robo Vampire turned up to wipe
Just
all
shoot-
the vampires out.
Edward's like, I gotta tell you something, and then suddenly he just gets shot by a shotgun. That'd be great. But okay, I do have a note here. There's a odd product placement of White Castle.
Oh, when they're running through the city, there's some White Castle signs.
No, but it's not running through. It's a single shot. Like,
yeah,
and they flick
it
back to it. and
stays
they
on
flick
it for a while, like it's over the guy's shoulder.
Yeah, I was a bit. Honestly, I'm not totally sure.
What else is in your notes?
I'm looking at my notes.
I think that was basically it.
Yeah.
There's a
throwing the
lot
dummy
of-
the-
There's a lot of
funny
little
things.
little details in this movie that I enjoyed.
But that's the thing. I can't really explain single like combat scenes
Yeah.
because they are funny in themselves. Yeah, dude, we got all the notes. We
So,
got, like,
would you
6 pages of
recommend this
notes.
movie? Would you?
Would I?
Did you
Well,
enjoy it? You laughed a lot.
You watched 2 movies. Oh yeah, actually,
We all laughed a lot. Well, because we watched this with some friends. We were all laughing a lot.
we did notice something.
Jared was not drinking at all, and he seemed to laugh quite a bit.
We did notice something with the Robo cop
Mm?
because he was so shoddily put together. He's got knee pads on, right? Okay,
Yeah.
we mentioned that. But on one of his arms, they're clearly just coming off because he's not held down with duct tape. That's the sort of level this movie's at.
Yeah.
It's great. But would I recommend this movie? Yes. Really, you're watching 2 movies in one. It's a great productivity hack. Someone said, I want to watch 2 movies in the time that it takes to watch 1 movie.
Okay.
And someone
so
said,
this is
"All
your
right."
this is your life hack.
This is a life hack.
This is how you watch 2 movies at once.
This is what I'm
mix
saying.
all movies that have like a similar sort of storyline
I want
together.
to watch Avengers, right? I want to watch all three of them in the length of one movie. Someone do a cut like that, and I'll be impressed.
Okay, I quite
Actually,
enjoyed
intercut
this
with Star
movie.
Wars.
I think I enjoyed this more than you did. I'd recommend
Yes.
it. I had a lot of fun.
I still had a lot of fun, but
Definitely, if you're watching this with some friends, I don't know if I'd watch it by myself. Like, it would be too boring, but definitely with some friends, like, laugh at.
I just feel like the thing is that I prefer a single movie because it's normally the other bits that make it funny. Now, this movie did get lucky because the combat scenes were hilariously bad. So, but that's the thing. Most of it is just combat scenes. But I normally find plot and things like that more funny and people's dialogue.
There's a lot of read in between the lines to figure out what's happening.
But there are 3 of these movies, from what I know. I'm
That's
sure there's
ridiculous.
some other.
How
by the
could there
same
be
director.
more than one of these movies?
They clearly made money, I guess. Maybe they're quite cheap since he doesn't actually film anything. I don't think he films anything. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Oh, boy.
That's the movie. I would actually suggest it too. Thanks everyone for listening. If you can, share this podcast around to anyone who's like, oh, I like bad movies. Oh, you'll love these guys. They're terrible. Thanks for that, everyone. And we'll see you next week with another movie.